who breaks the power of sin and darkness, whose love is mighty, so much stronger, King of glory, King above all kings, who shakes the whole earth with holy thunder, leaves us breathless and on wonder, King of glory, King above all kings. This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love. You would take my place. You would bear my cross. You lay down your life. I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, to sing for that you've done for me. Who brings the chaos? Who brings the chaos back into order? Makes the orphan son and daughter, King of glory, King above all kings. Who rules the nations? Who rules the nations? Truth and justice shines like the sun in all of its brilliance, King of glory, King above all kings. Let's sing it together. This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love. You would take my place. You would bear my cross. You lay down your life, and I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, to sing for all that you've done for me. Worthy is the Lamb. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. You are worthy, worthy, worthy. This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love. That you would take my place. You would bear my cross. You lay down your life, and I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, to sing for all that you've done for me. Who breaks the power? Who breaks the power? Sin and darkness. His love is mighty, so much stronger. King of glory, King above all kings. Who shakes the whole earth? Who shakes the whole earth? Truth and justice. Love is wonder. King of glory, King above all kings. This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love. You would take my place. You would bear my cross. You lay down your life. I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, to sing for that you've done for me. Worthy is the Lamb. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. You're worthy, worthy, worthy. This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love. You would take my place. You would bear my cross. You lay down your life. I would be set One last time. Worthy is the Lamb. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Today we are thankful, Lord, for everything you have done for us. We're thankful that you have conquered the grave. So may this service bring you glory today. So we give it to you in your name. Amen.
Amen. You guys can be seated. Welcome to church in person and online. We're so happy to have you here. My name is Penny. I'm one of the pastors here, and I just want to welcome you. And if this is one of your first times or your very first time, we want to connect with you, and we do that in a couple different ways. And the first way we do that is by our blue t-shirts. So if you have any questions or if you need anything, feel free to come up and ask anyone who's wearing a shirt that's on the screen or the one like I'm wearing. We are here for you, and we want to help you out however we can. And the second way we can help you out is with our Connextion Cards, which you can fill out online in the description or in the seat in front of you. And if you take it back to the connection point after the service, someone will have a gift for you. So this month, we've been collecting shoes, running shoes for people in need or homeless people that need sneakers. So if you have sneakers, if you could bring them in this week or next Sunday, we're looking for men and women's, men's size 9 to 13 or women's 6 to 9. As long as they're in good quality. We don't want running shoes that you're about to throw out. We want good quality running shoes that we can give to people in need. And you can just bring them into the back there of this room. They're all piled up, and you guys are doing great. So don't forget next week to bring in your sneakers. And please remain faithful in your giving this summer. Even if you're away on vacation or whatever, please remember to stay faithful and to keep your tithes. And you can do that through e-transfer, online, or text to give. So please do that. And today we are going to do Faces of Grace. We've been doing that so far this summer. So we have two awesome teenagers that are going to come up, Melanie and Josiane. Let's come on up, girls. And so we've been doing this just so you guys can get to know some of the people in the congregation a little bit better. And when Troy was looking for suggestions, I wanted Melanie and Josiane to come up because although they've been a part of Grace for a while and Youthquake, you guys have probably seen them at the counter in the spot. And maybe you guys didn't know who they were. So today we're going to get to know them a little bit better. So I'll let you guys share that mic. So for my first question, I want you guys to tell me your name and tell me something that maybe we wouldn't know about you. Now, lots of us wouldn't know lots about you, but maybe what you're interested in or something that you are talented in that we don't know about.
Hello. Hi, my name is Melanie Gallant, and I play volleyball during the school season.
Hi, my name is Josiane Melançon, and I don't know.
You got some special interests. You gotta have something. What is something you're passionate about? Do you have any hobbies?
Well, I used to play volleyball. I didn't play this year, but I used to play. I didn't play this year because I got injured, but usually I play with Melanie.
All right, see, that's great. You guys have the same interests. All right, tell us where you guys live, where you work, and where you go to school.
I live here in Bouctouche, and I go to Clément Cormier, and I work at Pita Pit for 2 years now.
I live in Notre Dame. I go to school at Clément Cormier too, and I work at Camping Océanique in Chediac as an activities attendant, and it's my first year.
Perfect. That's awesome. All right. Now, how long have you been a part of Grace Church or Youthquake, and how did you guys hear about it?
I started going to Youthquake in 6th grade, I believe, and I heard it from Luca. And I stopped going in 7th grade because of sports and stuff. But then I started again in 8th grade, and I started to go to the church also in 8th grade. And I continued, and then last year, I believe, or 6 months ago, I started volunteering in Mighty Kids. And then just recently, I've been starting to do the spot, the cafe.
So I started going to Youth Week about a year ago because of this like very odd ginger that was in my volleyball team. Try to guess who. And then about 6 months ago, I started volunteering at Mighty Kids. And then a couple months ago, I started going to church because people from Youth Week were encouraging me to come here. And recently, I started working at the spot because Natasha didn't know how to make coffee.
That's awesome. And haven't they been doing a great job in the spot? Have you been enjoying them? They've been doing great. All right, so what is something you guys have learned about God this year, or what is something He has been talking to you about or teaching you over the past year?
Well, I learned that even if a situation didn't end up like you wanted to, that God did the best decision for you, like in the long run. And I know now that it's the best thing, even though I didn't want it. Now I realize that it's the good thing to have happened.
What God taught me was that even in hard situations, when you feel like you're alone and you feel like there's no one there for you, that God is always there for you to help you and support you and to help you through these tough situations.
That's awesome. Those are great answers. I love that. And as you guys are both going into grade 11, correct? Yep. So you guys are going to be deciding what you want as a career soon. Do you guys know what you want to do after high school?
I think I want to go in medicine. Medicine?
Okay, yeah.
I think I want to be a radiologist.
Oh, nice.
After I'm done high school, I want to be a social worker, so I'm going to go study to be a social worker.
That is awesome. That is great. Both of those are great careers. And last question, what do you guys love most about Youthquake or Grace Church?
I think it's really the community that we created here, and that everyone is together. Like, we don't have different like cliques, if you know what I mean. Like, we're all together and everyone talks to each other in Youthquake, in Mighty Kids, and at church. Really, it's a beautiful community to have.
My favorite thing about Grace Church would also be that like we're all like a family. So when I first started coming to church, I came alone, and I was scared coming into a church I've never been in alone. So, but there was a bunch of people here to welcome me, people that made sure that I wasn't alone at church. Like, let's say I had Steph, who was making sure that I wasn't sitting alone, the Bocos family also doing that, and the pastors checking up on me, always making sure that I had a drive either to Youthquake or here to church, and that was what's my favorite thing.
That is awesome. We love having you guys apart, so make sure you guys get to know them a little bit better when you see them in the spot, and thank you, girls. You did awesome.
We're going to take just the next few minutes to just try to focus our hearts on God. And so why don't we stand? And why don't you, the best that you absolutely can, try to push the weak aside. Maybe the argument you had on the way here, or the kids being annoying this morning. Try to push it aside and just come to God this morning. Lord, I come, I confess, bowing here, find my rest. Without you, I fall apart. You're the one guides my heart. Lord, I come. Lord, I come. I confess, bowing here, find my rest. Without you, I fall apart. You're the one that guides my heart. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. Sin runs deep, your grace is warm. Where grace is found, it's where you are, where you are. Lord, I am free. Holiness is Christ in me. Yes, Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. Let's sing that together. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. Just make this your prayer. Lord, I come, I confess, bowing here, I find my rest. Without you, I fall apart. You're the one that guides my heart. Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. Yes, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. My one defense, my righteousness. Oh God, how I need you. Bless the Lord, oh my soul. Oh, my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul, worship your holy name. The sun comes up, there's a new day dawning. It's time to sing your song again. Whatever may pass and whatever lies before me, help me be singing when the evening comes. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship his holy name. Sing like never before. Oh my soul, I'll worship your holy name. You're rich in love and you're slow to anger. Your name is great and your heart is kind. For all your goodness I will keep on singing. 10,000 reasons for my heart to find. Raise your voices. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship his holy name. Sing like never before. Oh my soul, I'll worship your holy name. And on that day where my strength is failing, the end draws near and my time has come, still my soul will sing your praise unending. 10,000 years and then forevermore. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship his holy name. Sing like never before. Oh my soul, I'll worship your holy name. Bless the Lord. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship your holy name. Sing like never before. Oh my soul, I'll worship your holy name. I'll worship your holy name. Worship your holy name. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship your holy name. Sing like never before. Oh my soul, I'll worship your holy name. Worship your holy name. I worship your holy name. You're worthy of it all. You're worthy of it all. Yes, you are, Lord. And from you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory. You are worthy, Lord. You're worthy of it all. You're worthy of it all. From you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory. Let's give him all the glory this morning. You're worthy of it all. Oh, yes, you are. You're worthy of it all. And from you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory. Let's raise our voices. You're worthy of it all. You're worthy of it all. And from you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory. Just our voices. You're worthy of it all. You're worthy of it all. And from you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory. You're worthy. You're worthy of it all. You're worthy of it all. And from you are all things, and to you are all things. You deserve the glory. You are worthy, Lord. You're worthy of it all. You're worthy of it all. You're worthy of it all. From you are all things, to you are all things. You deserve the glory. Yes, you do, Lord. You're worthy of it all. From you are all things, to you are all things. You deserve the glory. We give you the glory today. You're worthy of it all. Yes, you are. You're worthy of it all. And from you are all things, to you are all things. You deserve the glory, because you are worthy of our praise, worthy of it all. You're worthy of it all. From you are all things, to you are all things. You deserve the glory. You're worthy of it all. You're worthy of it all. And from you are all things, to you are all things. You deserve the glory. And from you are all things. From you are all things, to you are all things. You deserve the glory. To you are all things. You deserve the glory. Lord, may we never forget that you deserve the glory.
Not just as we stand and sing together today, but tomorrow morning, every single moment, our lives should sing that you are worthy of it all. So God, I pray that you'll speak to our hearts in the next few moments. You are worthy. In your name, amen. 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 You may be seated. Well, it's great to be here this morning. Great to have you all in person and online today. And those of you who will watch later on in the week. Last night, me and Penny went out for dinner. We went on a date. And you know how you picture some things ending differently than how they started? Well, we went on a date and it was nice. And I don't know what happened, but when we were at dinner, I don't know if it was like I said this for a joke, but I was like, we started talking about our first date. And I was like, I wonder what would it be like if we were on our first date like right now? And so then we started to pretend like it was our first date. And it was funny, it's like, hey, so tell me a little bit about yourself and, funny things like that. And then things, I didn't have my wallet, so in the middle of the date, it ended up that she was going to pay. And she's like, well, this isn't a very good first date. And so things started to kind of go downhill. And then at one point she was like, you're not getting a second date. So didn't really quite end how I anticipated. And then we got home. And I thought this charade was all over. But she just kept going. She just kept saying, you're not getting a second date. Later in the evening, I had to actually check, we're still together, right? She was really carrying this a little farther than I thought she really needed to. But here we are. And, it's great to be here. And today we're going to be in James chapter 5. We're getting a little bit of feedback. James chapter 5, 1 to 6. And normally, maybe it's this mic. Is this mic muted? Turn the volume down a little bit, maybe. So usually when I would talk about this is a topic that I didn't like to talk about usually. Probably till about 2 or 3 years ago. And I don't know what really just kind of changed in my heart, in my life. I was just like, because there's all these stereotypes about the church wanting money and et cetera. But the truth is, this isn't about the church wanting money. This is about God being part of our lives. And so James addresses this. So here we are. So you can blame it on James if you need someone to blame it on. James chapter 5, 1 to 6. Warning to the rich oppressors. Nice start, point. Now listen, you rich people. Weep and wail because the misery that is coming on you. Your wealth has rotted and the moth have eaten your clothes. Your gold and silver has corroded or rusted. Their corrosion will testify against you and eat your flesh like fire. I think James he probably wrote this on a Monday, is what I'm kind of feeling. Testify against you, eat your flesh like fire. You have hoarded wealth in the last days. Look, the wages you failed to pay the workers who mowed your fields are crying out against you. So the people that you've hired that you haven't paid or haven't paid well, they're crying out against you. The cries of the harvester have reached the ears of the Lord Almighty. To those that you haven't treated properly with your money, I hear their cries. Or I'll tell you a story later on this morning that I heard the cries of the Lord to me this week. The cries of the harvesters have reached the ears of the Lord Almighty. You have lived on earth in luxury and self-indulgence. You have fattened yourselves in the day of slaughter. You have condemned and murdered the innocent one who was not opposing you. Money is a sensitive topic, and it's sensitive for a few different reasons, but here's two. And this is two that I can be absolutely as transparent as I can about. Pastors and churches for years have swindled people out of money, out of vulnerable people. TV evangelists and people in the name of God have actually swindled people out of money for years, and this is why it's a sensitive topic. The second reason it's sensitive is money, maybe above everything else, is the easiest thing that turns into a god for us. And when you start talking about someone's God, small g, people get defensive. I mean, here's the truth. Money is a good thing. We need money to live, in case you haven't noticed. And right now we need somewhere between 7 and 10% more money to live. It becomes a bad thing when we make money the most important thing, or when we make money our God. We got to remember that God is supposed to be the highest position or the highest good in our life. And when we make anything, not only money, more important than God, we have made an idol. When we elevate anything to that level in our life instead of God. See, this is what I say, and I say it all the time. And so if you're here and you happen to have a little bit of money, which I hope you do, God is not against you having money. He is against money having us. And that's the difference. He is not here. He does not want to speak to us through the book of James and say, you know what, you need to just give away all your money. You need to do this, you need to do that. That's not what he's saying. He's saying, listen, I don't want money to own you. During the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew 6:19 to 21 and verse 24, Jesus told his followers this: do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where the moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroy, and where thieves do not break in or steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart will be also. And we'll put this on the screen. No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate one and love the other, or he will devote it to one and despise the other. And then for me, it's strange. And then it says, you cannot love God and money. Why that? Why that in Matthew? You can't love God and anything he could have put there. But money has a way to elevate itself into the position of power in our life. See, like most sinful things, the problem isn't the thing. The problem is the position of the thing. The problem isn't money. The problem is the position we give money. The problem isn't our boat. The problem isn't our house. The problem isn't our kids. The problem isn't our search for a relationship. The problem is that we have made it the most important thing. We take a good thing that God had and that God made and that he wants to bless you with it. And we serve it instead of serving God. It doesn't matter, like I said, what it is, if it's money or relationship or kids or work. I know people who have prayed to be able to have a kid for years, and the moment God answered their prayer and gave them a child, they never entered the doors of a church again because the biggest blessing became a curse. As soon as we elevate anything into that position, we've lost the plot, as they say. In 1 Timothy 6, 9, and 10, Paul warns of this very possibility. He says this: but those who want to get rich fall into temptation and a snare and many foolish and harmful desires which plunge men into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is the root of all sorts of evil. And some, by longing for it, have wandered away from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. This is actually one of the most misquoted verses in the Bible, because people will say money is the root of all evil. No, it's not. The love of money is the root of all evil. Money is actually the greatest blessing that God could use us, use you, use me, to actually be the answer to people's prayers. See, the love of money is the root of all evil. How do we walk that fine line? How do we live in that tension between needing money and loving money? That's the tension. How do we accept the blessings and use them for His glory, but don't worship the blessing more than we worship God? That's the tension. How do we avoid being the rich man that Jesus talks about in Luke chapter 12, who stores up treasures for himself, but yet he is not rich towards God? See, that's what this is really about. It's avoiding that. It's avoiding the fact that we don't want to have all the treasures, but actually be poor towards God. And that is, people get upset at me when I say this. And last time I talked about money, probably like 3 years ago, someone got really upset about this. Everybody in this room is rich. Every one of us. And so this is where James turns next. Ever since James chapter 4, where he tells us to humble ourselves before God, he has been showing us what living humbly looks like. Number one, living humbly means not condemning or not to condemn our neighbors. That's how we live humble. Number two, living humbly means trusting God and not ourselves or our plans. We talked about that last week. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't make plans. I got all sorts of plans. I owe 4 years and plus on my mortgage, and this last 2 weeks I worked on a plan where I can be mortgage free in 31 months. I hope that works. Maybe God will laugh at my plan. I don't know. But I can't let that plan become my God. And that was part of the lecture that I had last night over dinner. Number three, where we land today. Living humbly means not loving money. Some people think the rich in this passage are unbelievers that James is writing to. But why would he write to a group of people that were most likely to never read it? He's writing to people that belong to church, that are in the church. He wouldn't write to a group of people that were unlikely to read it. He's actually writing to a church. He's actually writing to us. It is something that everybody in this room, is tempted towards. So what James writes in this passage are best understood as a warning what loving money will do to us. Here are some symptoms of someone who loves money that James addresses. Number one, talks about this in verses 2 and 3. Loving money will make you hoard it. Will make you hoard it. It will make you keep it to yourself. It will make it very difficult to leave your hand. That you will always say, well, when I have enough, but enough never comes. There's an old song, when tomorrow never comes, when enough never comes. Because enough is always moving. The first symptom of loving money is hoarding it. When people begin to acquire money, they think, oh, what a blessing. And then they become to depend on that money, and then they feel like they deserve that money. And then they see money as for their own use and no one else's. Because when you start to love money, you begin to worry that you will never have enough, and you begin to hoard it. Let me present to you the idea that money was never something that was meant to be hoarded and kept to us. It was meant for us to live as a conduit of blessing to others. You feel like you earn it and you're entitled to it. But since you're loving it more than you love God, you are worried that it might run out. Because the truth is, God never runs out. But money does. And when we put our worry in that, we are so worried that it will run out. So we try to hold on to it as much as we can. And then we worry, then we hold. Then we worry, then we hold. Do you see the pattern here? See, this is the situation in Luke chapter 12. There's a rich man who has more than he needs. Someone in the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the family inheritance with me." But he said to him, "Man, who appointed me judge or arbitrator over you?" Then he said to them, "Beware, and be on your guard against every form of greed. For not even when one has an abundance does his life consist of his possessions." Even when one has a lot, his life doesn't consist of that. And he told them a parable saying, "The land of a rich man was very productive, and he began reasoning with himself." How many know reasoning with ourselves probably isn't really the best idea? We can talk ourselves into anything. A deal with yourself is not a deal. The land of a rich man was very productive, the parable says. And he began reasoning to himself, saying, "What shall I do, since I have no space to store my crops? I have so much stuff. I have no place to put it. What shall I do?" Then he said, "This is what I'll do. I'll tear down my barns and I'll build larger ones. And there I will store all my grain and my goods. And I will say to my soul, 'Soul, you have many goods laid up for many years to come. Take your ease, eat, drink, and be merry.'" He has so much money, his idea that he reasons with himself is tear down the other barns. Doesn't he know how expensive wood is? And he's going to build new barns. And he's going to have so much in there that he's going to reason with himself and say, "I'm going to eat, drink, and be merry." But God said to him, "You fool, this very night your soul will be required of you. And now who will own what you've prepared?" So if I take you, who's going to have your barns now? Some people say to me, I don't go to church because all the church wants my money. Listen, if God wants your money, you'll be a greasy spot on the floor. He will take it. See, this is a man who stores up treasures for himself, but he's not rich towards God. Rich man has full barns. He doesn't know what to do. He never even considered the idea that God had given him more than he needs so that he could give to those who need. He's so self-focused that he decides that the best possible solution is to hoard it, is to hold on to his wealth. What's interesting is that you can love money and actually not have a lot of money as well. Because a lot of you are sitting here, "Well, I don't have a lot of money, so this isn't for me." But you can actually not have a lot of money and still love money. Jesus is challenging both the rich man and the man who asked in verse 15. He tells us to be on guard. Guard against every form of greed. The first broke man also thought money would be his solution to all his problems. Both he and the rich man were wrong. God wants us to depend on him, full stop. not just for his blessing, but that we would depend on him for his provision. We would depend on him for life. Hoarding is a sign that we love money, and we're dependent on our money more than God. James chapter 5:3 says this: rust on unused money will be a witness against you. That your things and your money will stand still and be hoarded so much they will rust. And that'll be a witness against you. We shouldn't hold on to the things that God has given us so tightly. We should be people who live with open hands. My wife had to leave today to go to an appointment. But we are different when it comes to money, me and Penny. We have come to a good foundation, how we live our lives. But I tend to live more open-handed, and she does too if you pry it open. But we're all different. We've all been raised differently. We all act differently. We shouldn't hang on to things just because we think we may need them someday. I mean, the storage unit business is a multi-billion-dollar business because people filled their houses, filled their garages, they got nowhere to put it, and they put it in storage units that they pay money for. Just give some thought to the idea that perhaps God is trying to use you to be answer to someone else's prayer. In 2 Corinthians 8:14 and 15, Paul says that this is one of the reasons why there's needs and blessing. It says this: at this present time, your abundance will be a supply for their need, so that their abundance may also supply for your need. And so there will be equality. We will help each other. As it is written, he who gathered much did not have too much, and he who gathered little had no lack. That we are actually blessed to bless others. There's this transactional life that we should be living in as kingdom-spirited people. Number 2, loving money will make you cheat people. Verse 4. James goes on to point out a second characteristic of people who love money. And his idea that he's trying to get to us is loving money will push you towards cheating people. James chapter 5, verse 4 says this: behold, the pay of the laborers who mowed your fields, and which have been withheld by you, cries out against you. And the outcry of those who did the harvesting has reached the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. People who are in love with money, they'll find ways to hold on to that money at all costs. I have a friend that used to work in a big industry, and they would do quotes for big companies, and then the people would get the quotes, and then his boss would want him to go back and say, okay, tell the people that won the quotes, if they take 10% off, we'll give them the job. And he said, but they already have the job. And he said, yeah, but we'll save 10%. That's what James is talking about. In ancient times, it was a requirement that workers would actually get paid at the end of the day. But some farmers thought they had a technicality, and what they would do is they would hold it off till the end of the harvest, because they would say, well, the day isn't done until the harvest is done. And that's what James is saying. These laborers are worth what they're paid, but yet you don't pay them. You know, as you can see, we got a bunch of work done in the parking lot. And And I went back and forth with a bunch of companies, finally settled on a company. They gave us a quote. And we all have a nature in us to try to get the best deal possible. And I'm no different than anybody else. And so I hummed and hawed back with them. It was, I knew it was a big job for them. Hummed and hawed back for them. Got the price a little lower. Finally got them to do the job. Part of the guy, poor guy, part of his crew quit on him because it was such a big job. Took them way longer than they thought. And I said, this is the truth. I said, I don't care. I got a quote. And then anyways, I sat down in James chapter 5, verse 1 to 6, and started to prepare. And God speaks and he says, Troy, what you have done is not right. See, James clearly has in mind Deuteronomy 24, 14 to 15. He's going back to this. He says, you shall not oppress a hired servant who is poor and needy, whether he is one of your countrymen or one of your aliens who is in your land and your towns. You shall give him his wages on his day before the sun sets, for he is poor and he sets his heart on it. So they will not cry against you, the Lord, and it will become sin to you. See, things that may have changed with banks and credit and biweekly pay periods, but greed is still the same. We love to hold on to our money. We love to get the best deal possible, even if we know it's shortchanging those other people. See, people who love money do whatever they can to hold on to it, and they do whatever they can to hold on as much of it as they can. They look for ways to not fulfill their financial obligations or ways to, not pay tax here, not pay tax there. They take advantage of others who are vulnerable or needy or desperate and naive. And the church and TV evangelists will answer for this one day. When you use the Lord's name in vain for something that it was not intended to, you will answer. I would be the worst TV evangelist. But James warns the greedy. There's a whole industry built around scamming. I don't want to name the company because someone works here, but just this week, a company, internet company, went down and had some struggles. I'm not saying who works there. But not the very next day, they had to put out saying, listen, if you get a text message or this asking, to get your, all of that's a scam. That's the world we live in. But we are kingdom-spirited people. We are meant to live open-handed. But James warns that that God hears the cry of those who have been defrauded. He hears the cries of those that have been taken advantage of. Sabbath is often translated hosts, which is an old word that means armies. James is saying this. He's saying that we take advantage of those who don't have the power or the strength or the sense to fight back. You have not just wronged them, you have made an enemy of God who fights for the defenseless. I'm really not to try to stir up trouble, but I've already alluded to it that a lot of TV evangelists are going to be in trouble with God when the day comes. Number 3. Loving money will make us self-indulgent. Talks about this in verse 5. James says the third thing about loving money is that we become self-indulgent in life. Me, more. James 5:5 says this, you have lived luxuriously on the earth and led a life of self-indulgence. You have fattened your hearts in a day of slaughter. Fatten your hearts in a day of slaughter is actually a very interesting phrase. It paints this amazing picture of what self-indulgence looked like. In the ancient world, before there was refrigeration, meat had to be either salted or smoked so they could be preserved. It was a tradition that on the day of slaughter, because they couldn't preserve all of the meat, they would have a huge barbecue and invite the neighbors and enjoy a feast of fresh meat or tofu. James is saying here that these people that love money, they live their life like it's the day of slaughter. Like it's always about them. Filling themselves with more than they need and fattening themselves instead of sharing with others. Not just physically, but our houses, our garages, our cars, our marinas, our accounts. See, we often think the point of life is to get as much as we can and to keep it to ourselves. James says this is not right. God does want to bless each and every one of us if we honor him with our finances. But to focus our life is on treasures and possessions as the highest goal, we have lost the plot. It's to fatten ourselves up while enjoying life like the day of slaughter. Living every day like it's this personal reckless party. James' challenges of the rich is not intended to make us feel bad if we should happen to have some money. This challenge is to show us the dangers of loving money. I'll just ask Scott to come today. And this is what will happen if we don't listen to the warnings. So how do you take the opposing role? Do you give away the wealth that you have? For some, if money is your God and has become an obstacle to serving God, then perhaps he would ask you to do that like he does in Mark chapter 10 to the rich young ruler. But for us, we need to start doing the opposite of what James has laid out. Number one, we need to trust God, not money. See, this is really the main thrust and the main point. Get this right and the rest of it will come naturally to us. We need to trust God, not money. Number two, to be a conduit of his blessing. A conduit is basically just a tube that you run other things through. And that's actually just what our life is. We are just a conduit that God runs his blessings through. And it's our job to listen and to obey. See, the opposite of hoarding is actually giving freely, being generous. This isn't a call to be reckless about your money, but to actually be prayerful of how you should live it. Maybe God has actually blessed you because he wants to be a blessing through you, like Paul talks about in the passage above. See, God gives more to some so that they have the joy of being a conduit of his provision to others. But those that have less, they actually get the luxury of having God provide for them. The trick is to trust God, not money. When we have an abundance, we need to live lives of generosity. Because it wasn't our money to begin with. And when we experience experience times of less, we can trust God that He will supply our needs. Number 3, fulfill your obligations. Most people don't cheat others because they want to. They end up cheating others because they have to. That things are so tight, they feel like they have no other choice. When we feel like we don't have enough money, we have the tendency not to do what we promised, or not to fulfill our obligations, or not to prepare or pay our bills. Not because we want to cheat people out of money, but it feels like we have no choice. Trusting God and not money means that we should try to be people of integrity who try to fulfill our obligations rather than withholding money that we owe someone because we feel like we might need it down the road. I mean, things get the touchiest of all when you talk about tithing. When someone says, well, I'll tithe to the church when I can afford it. This is the best advice I could give you about money. If you want God to be involved in your money, you need to honor Him with your money. But often we just go to Him when we need something. If you want Him involved, invite Him in. See, the problem is loving money will make you hoard things. Loving money will make you cheat people. Loving money will make you self-indulgent. But the solution is this. We need to trust God, not money. We need to realize that we are just a conduit. We are just a pipe that channels His blessing. And if we are kingdom-spirited people, we need to be people who fulfill our obligations. As I was thinking about ending this service, an old song came to my mind and my heart. And I think it's probably the most fitting thing that we could sing. Because the only time we sort this out in our own personal lives is not when I speak to you about it. It's when God changes our heart. Changes our heart to trust Him more than money. To realize that He's blessed us to bless others. And that we need to be people who fulfill our obligations. So why don't you stand today? And why don't you sing this together and just listen to the Spirit of God today. Change my heart, oh God. Make it ever true. See, right? And see. I be like you. May I be like you. Change my heart, oh God. Change my heart, oh God. Make it ever true. Change my heart, oh God. May I be like you. You are the potter. You are the potter. I am the clay. is what I pray. Change my heart, oh God. Make it ever true. Change my heart, oh God. May I be like. Change my heart. Change my heart, oh God. Make it ever true. Change my heart, oh God. May I be like you. You are the potter. You are the potter. I am the clay. Mold me and make me. This is what I pray. Change my heart, oh God. Make it ever true. Change my heart, oh God. May I be like you. You are the potter. You are the potter. I am the clay. Mold me and make me. This is what I pray. Change my heart, oh God. Make it ever true. Change my heart, oh God. May I be like you. Dear God, my prayer for every single person, my prayer for me, is that I would trust God and not money. That I would be a conduit of your blessing. And that I would fulfill the obligations you put before me in my life. God, I pray that you would change our hearts. That you would be Lord of our life. Not money, not things, not people, not people's opinions, but you. That we would honor and trust you with our finances, knowing that you will take care of us. So we give you this day in your name. Amen. Don't forget to grab your children. My prayer today is that God would bless you, that he would keep you, that he would make his face shine upon you, that he would raise his countenance to you. He would give you peace.